Assalamu alaikum. This is Prapunti Chakraborty welcoming you to the English news from Btv-Chattogram. Let's begin with the headlines. ICT to announce verdict against 3, including Sheikh Hasina, in case against humanity during July uprising on November 13th. BNP recommends not to assign controversial officials in next national polls. Top 10 round of Bangladesh television's popular talent hunt show Notun Kori to begin tomorrow. Gaza's catastrophic healthcare system to last for generations to come, warns World Health Organization. And Bangladesh sealed 3-match series crushing West Indies by 179 runs in third ODI at Sher-Bangla National Cricket Stadium in Mirpur. Viewers, those were the headlines. Now moving on to the details. The trial proceedings in the case concerning crimes against humanity during the July mass uprising have been concluded against Sheikh Hasina and 2 others. The International Crimes Tribunal is set to announce the verdict on November 13th. After the final day of arguments today, the tribunal scheduled the date for delivering the verdict. The other accused in the case are former Home Minister Asaduzzaman Khan Gamal and former IGP Chaudhry Abdullah Al Mamun, who is also a prosecution witness in the case. During a media briefing, Attorney General Mohammad Asaduzzaman said that Sheikh Hasina's guilt is evident from the sequence of events following the mass killings and her subsequent escape. He added that the mass killings occurred under the patronage of the Awami League government, while members of the fallen regime are now making desperate attempts to disrupt the ongoing judicial process. Chief Prosecutor Tajul Islam stated that the prosecution has clearly and convincingly proven the crimes, saying that the evidence presented before the tribunal would be sufficient to establish guilt in any court in the world. Yesterday, defense lawyers completed their closing arguments, after which the prosecution presented its rebuttal today, marking the final day of argument hearings. It may be noted that 54 witnesses, including families of the martyrs, injured individuals, and physicians, testified in this case. Their testimonies revealed details of the July massacre atrocities, enforced disappearances, extrajudicial killings, and torture during the Awami League regime. The BNP has recommended to the Chief Election Commissioner that officials who played controversial roles in previous elections should not be assigned duties in the upcoming national polls. The recommendation was made during a meeting between a 3-member BNP delegation and CCAMM Nasiruddin at the Election Commission headquarters in Agargaon, Dhaka today. Speaking to reporters after the meeting, BNP Standing Committee member Dr. Abdul Moin Khan shared the details of the discussion. He was accompanied by BNP Chairperson's Advisory Council member Ismail Zabiullah and former Secretary Dr. Mohammad Zakaria. Dr. Moin Khan expressed optimism, saying that the upcoming national election will take place in a festive environment and any concerns over law and order will eventually fade away. The final appeal hearing on the restoration of the caretaker government system concluded today for the 3rd consecutive day. The hearing was conducted by a 7-member appellate bench of the Supreme Court, held by Chief Justice Dr. Syed Rifat Ahmed. Senior lawyer Ehsan A. Siddiq presented arguments before the court as an intervener. Earlier on August 27th, the court granted permission for the appeal after hearing the petition seeking a review of the verdict that had annulled the caretaker government system. Bangladesh Television's popular talent hunt show Notun Kori will resume tomorrow after a 2-day break with the top 10 round, where the 10 best contestants from each category will take the stage of their dreams. Even during this short break, the BTV family remains in an emotional anticipation, cherishing the efforts of those who have worked tirelessly from dawn till midnight to make Notun Kori vibrant and successful. Under the supervision of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting and organized by Bangladesh Television, the arrangements for on-site medical teams, children's honorariums, and safety measures have been praised and appreciated by parents. Talented children and teenagers from across the country will now compete head-to-head in the top 10 phase of the final competition. The names of the top 10 contestants in each category has already been announced. After that, the grooming, preparation, and grand finale journey will begin. To catch all updates, performances, and stories of these young talents, stay tuned to BTV News channel, and Notun Kori's official Facebook and YouTube pages. A meeting of the steering committee of Bangladesh Television's popular talent hunt program Notun Kori was held at the BTV headquarters this afternoon. BTV Director General Mahabubul Alam presided over the meeting. Information and Broadcasting Joint Secretary Mahfuza Akhtar joined the meeting virtually. The meeting discussed overall preparations for the top 10 contestants' final round and award ceremony scheduled to begin tomorrow. Mohammed Rokunuddin, coordinator of the Notun Kori cell, and Nurul Azam, co-winner of the Dhaka Audition Committee, among others, were present in the meeting. Later, a video of the 2004 Notun Kori Award ceremony from the BTV archives were screened. Now, international news. The World Health Organization has issued a grave warning describing Gaza's healthcare system as being in a state of catastrophe that could have repercussions lasting for generations to come. WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said that humanitarian assistance must be urgently and significantly expanded to meet the immense needs of Gaza's population. Following the October 10th ceasefire, Israel has allowed some medical supplies and aid trucks into Gaza. However, Dr. Ghebreyesus emphasized that these measures are insufficient to rebuild the territory's devastated healthcare infrastructure. The warning comes as the United States continues its efforts to advance a peace agreement described by the White House as the first stage of a 20-step peace plan. This plan ensures and includes provisions to increase and deliveries to Gaza and to ensure the distribution without interference from either side. Dr. Ghebreyesus welcomed the peace initiative but noted that the actual increase in humanitarian assistance has fallen short of expectations. He stressed that humanitarian and should never be weaponized, urging Israel not to impose conditions on the flow of relief materials. He added, "All surviving hostages have been released and many of the deceased have been returned. There is no justification for any further restrictions on aid." Despite this, the WHO reports that the amount of aid reaching Gaza remains well below the required level. According to the United Nations World Food Programme, WFP, more than 6,700 tons of food aid have entered Gaza since October 10th, yet the target of 2,000 tons per day remains unmet. The United Nations estimates that the reconstruction of Gaza will cost approximately $70 billion, with the World Health Organization noting that at least 10% of this will be required for rebuilding the healthcare sector alone. Meanwhile, more than 460 prominent Jewish figures from across the globe, including former Israeli officials, intellectuals, writers, and artists, have signed an open letter condemning what they describe as Israel's inhuman actions amounting to genocide in Gaza. The letter addressed to the United Nations and world leaders calls for sanctions against Israel and demands accountability for its actions in Gaza, the occupied West Bank, and East Jerusalem. Israel's parliament has voted to give preliminary approval to a bill to impose Israeli sovereignty on the occupied West Bank in a move tantamount to annexation of the Palestinian territory, which could be a blatant violation of international law. Despite opposition from Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his Likud party, lawmakers in the 120-seat Knesset voted 25 to 24 on Tuesday to advance the bill in the first of 4 votes needed to pass it into law. The vote, which came a month after United States President Donald Trump stated he would not allow Israel to annex the occupied West Bank, was held during a visit by U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance to Israel to shore up the ceasefire agreement in Gaza. Speaking before his departure from the U.S. to visit Israel, Secretary of State Marco Rubio said on Wednesday that President Trump has made clear that the Knesset's vote on annexation was not something the U.S. would be supportive of. The votes drew swift condemnation from the Palestinian Foreign Ministry, Hamas, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Jordan. In a statement, the ministry condemned the vote, stating and saying it strongly rejects the Knesset's attempts to annex Palestinian land. Hamas said in a statement that the bills reflected the ugly face of the colonial occupation. Qatar's Ministry of Foreign Affairs condemned the move in the strongest terms, calling the votes a blatant violation of the historical rights of the Palestinian people and the challenge to international law. The Saudi Foreign Ministry expressed the kingdom's complete rejection of all settlement and expansionist violations carried out by the Israeli occupation authorities, while Jordan's Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Expatriates also condemned the Knesset's votes. United States President Donald Trump has imposed sanctions on Russia for the first time since returning to the White House, citing a lack of progress in ceasefire talks to end Moscow's war on Ukraine. The same day, European Union leaders approved their 119th Russian sanctions package. U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent said the sanction would target Russia's 2 largest oil companies, Lukoil and Rosneft, due to Russian President Vladimir Putin's refusal to end this senseless war in Ukraine and Moscow's lack of serious commitment to the peace progress and process. The measures taken by the Department of the Treasury, which also sanctioned dozens of Rosneft and Lukoil subsidiaries, blocked the U.S. assets of the designated firms while preventing Americans from doing business with them. Notably absent from the U.S. sanctions were Chinese and Indian buyers of Russian oil. The U.S. has struck 2 alleged drug vessels in the Pacific side of Latin America over the last 2 days, killing 5 people, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth confirmed yesterday. The Trump administration has now carried out 9 known strikes against illicit narcotics trafficking boats since last month, leading to at least 37 deaths. The first 7 strikes were within the Caribbean Sea, but this week the strategy broadened to the East Pacific. The first strike took place on Tuesday with 2 people killed. A defense official condemned and confirmed the vessel was in international waters off of Colombia. A second strike took place on Wednesday, killing 3 more.